Joe Joseph is the managing director at Gallup's Waste Management Incorporation. I will now pass it on to you, Joe, and you have 2 minutes for your presentation. You may begin.
Hi guys, nice to have me in your panel. Hi Obi. Yes, we Gallup's Waste Management, and that's one part of my main company. And we own few companies actually called Ontario Plastics, Paper Cycle, and the new company is actually called Pick Recycle. So that's actually a modern next level of recycling industry. Basically, we are trying to go forward so everybody is easier to recycle with a phone call kind of thing. That we have created the app, and we are launching it most probably next month. Our process is basically we are an international organization. Actually, we have branches in South Asia as well as Australia, and we deal with Ireland as well, and UK and US. So our goal is basically to get the product clean much as possible, most probably, because currently what we have is that the recycling it's not completed 100% in Canadian market. So what we leverage is that we created a plant in Sri Lanka, Trinity Lanka, that we are working with that government and trying to uh, clean the material much as possible and bring the value of the recycling that here is we are actually thinking it's waste, but actually has so much value in the product. So we are trying to bring that into the market as well. So we are like working with OB and so many other recyclers here and trying to make some type of a uh, mm, show people actually what you throw in your bin, it's not actually waste. It's actually a commodity that actually we can bring into the market and we can make so much more out of it. So that's our goal here to do that, and we are trying to achieve that.
Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing more about your organization's initiatives with us. It's very cool to hear.
From your perspective in the recycling industry, how can waste recovery systems transform discarded materials into economic opportunities for communities?
Um, the biggest thing, the shift that we have to do is think recycle waste as garbage. So once we uh, take our mindset from that part and thinking, looking at the material as valuable commodities, then we actually look at another part, how we actually can change all that into money, basically, the dollars and cents. So uh, we have to first we have to stop where it's leaking. Basically, when we throw certain things, a can in the garbage instead of the recycling bin, obviously that garbage is going to end up in the landfill. So we had to stop that. So we had to educate our people to stop throwing valuable stuff into the garbage and make sure it goes into the right place. Once that happens, then once we are going to create the local raw material that we're going to be able to produce within the community. Instead of doing mining to produce aluminum, we have more to recycle right now, and we have given them raw material into the industry, into the community, right? That creates another cycle to the next step of creating opportunity in the local communities where they are collecting now and have more resources and raw material in the community. Once that happens, then it goes to the next level, how the manufacturer is able to go get the raw materials that actually already in the market to create new jobs. For example, I have a Ontario Plastic is my one of my companies that actually we actually take the plastic, we grind it, we actually palletize it, and we send it to the auto industry again, and that we mix it about 80-20% into the with the prime material, and we make auto parts. So the companies actually come up with that material is actually a law right now, where we have to use at least certain amount of recycled material into the industry. So once we start from the house to the manufacturer, there are a lot of opportunities flows through. So for example, so when we create the raw material, that creates certain amount of jobs that we don't actually see, right? So for example, in my factory alone, we will have a millwright, we will have a technician, we will have a electrician working, we will have machinery guys working, palletizers working. So all these jobs are being created by that single product is being recycled, right? So that's how the communities will come together. So we have to start from the spot where we, instead of we throw that part in the garbage, we had to be more conscious about we are putting that into the recycling and recycle properly. So we will be able to get more and more jobs coming in, and we will be able to do a lot of good things and save money in the long run.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. That was really good. So look at waste as a commodity, stop where it's leaking, better separation at source, because that is key in order to get the recycled material as a resource that could
Mhm.
reduce the need to have to go mine new materials, and policies that ensure that, industries require the use of recycled material in creation of new products. So that's really key. Thanks for that, Joe. Thank you. Resource recovery and recycling require logistics, sorting, processing, and trading systems. How can the expansion of circular economy infrastructure create jobs, and support inclusive economic growth?
So, expanding the circular infrastructure, it's by itself, it's actually will create local jobs. We won't be thinking about outsourcing our local sorting and all that stuff like that. That's not going to happen. So that will alone itself will create local jobs and bring uh, in the in the logistics and the sorting and the processing and uh, technical and in AI, we will bring all that into this circular infrastructure. So it's like a volume game, right? For everyone, every job that, for example, we throw everything into the garbage and we send everything to the landfill, that's one job. One guy will be on a tractor or whatever the machine they're going to be sitting there and just pushing the material into the garbage, right? But you bring that into a sorting facility. Now you have a sorter, you have a driver, you have a technician actually be able to look at these advanced AI model infrared sorting systems. So they are engineers, actually graduates, actually working in these plants, understanding these kind of machines. So we create a vast number of jobs once we come into the sorting side of it, right? So expanding the circular infrastructure, that will give these graduates that who are coming out of the school not knowing whether they're going to have a job in the computer industry. Obviously they are not looking at the right places, because this is not only garbage that we are dealing with or recycling that we are dealing with, but it's actually technology as well, right? So we have to encourage our youth to understand when they see, oh, this is a bad industry to get into, recycling. No, it's not. It's actually well paid and good infrastructure, and it's a lot of graduates can have good jobs as well as low paying jobs as well. So, and it gives you an opportunity to actually to grow in the business. So for example, when we have a driver comes in first time to work in the facility and he becomes a driver, then he wants to work in the factory, he can actually climb the ladder all the way up to a plant manager, right? By experience alone. Sometimes these kids that who comes out of high school have the opportunity to go and make a good living in this particular industry, right?
Thanks. Yeah, great. Thanks, Joe. That's key. So, like, Recycling, like in circular economy, that part of it, it creates jobs. It does create jobs. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Your work connects recycling markets in Northern America. So your work connects recycling markets in North America and South Asia. Now, what role do international supply chains play in strengthening circular economies and ensuring valuable materials remain in productive use?
When we talk about international supply chains, first thing that we have to get away from is that the old concept saying that, oh, we are exporting waste. That concept we have to get away from, because that has a bad comma to it or name to it, kind of thing, right? Because we are doing export of recycled material. So we had to educate the people. When they talk about waste, all of a sudden it clicks in our head, it's actually garbage, right? So we had to take that out of their mind, and we had to show them we are doing recycling material. So if when we do circular material here, that it does not, we have to realize that it does not stop at the border. So current conditions that we see around the world right now, that actually that we are not embracing the international markets and stuff like that. That's why Canada's kind of struggling right now to find new clientele for our products. That we came across, and we said, hey, our model was we are dealing with Asian markets as well as North American markets. When the market is locally, it's going down, we actually have the market, actually, we have a buyer in Sri Lanka or in India or in Vietnam or in Bangladesh or Malaysia. So we have buyers, they are willing to buy these products. So we never had a problem in Canada to sell our material. They sometimes when we sort this material, there are different types of material. They have film, they have PET, they have PETs and cardboard, newsprint. So all these different types of materials comes into play. Sometimes some clients in Canada or in the US would not be able to use it. However, it turns around that we have buyers that are actually looking for that specific type of material. So one example I'll give it to you is that farming industry, they have seed bags. That's actually a craft bags. It's made out of craft bags. Then that has a plastic lining. Nobody in Canada will not take that. We are the only one takes it, and we have one buyer actually in India actually picks that out, and actually they recycle the plastic as well as the craft bag. So that is where we find people to do certain things that these industries here are lacking. So we kind of that's why most of our industry people calls us for specific kind of details like that, and we try to support that, right? So that's where we have to think about growing markets. For example, India is a growing market. We should be having more business with them and have them in our back pocket just in case how we have tariff issues and all these economic issues shooting at us. At least we have a place to go to with our material and have the value for it that we actually produce. Otherwise, we will be trying to create a circular economy and try to make some money out of this whole industry, but that's not going to happen if you only have one buyer.
Thanks. Thanks, Joe. That's great. So I think you said it all. So international markets do have a role to play, especially when you're looking to export, when it's generate revenue, right?